Well, Dandadan episode 7 is here, and it emotionally destroyed me. Even though I knew what was going to happen, it did not make it any easier. This episode here shows what an animated adaptation can do with its source material. Just like episode 4, they kept to the soul of the series and made it better. So I'm going to go over my thoughts on the episode before I go back to crying into my pillow. Welcome friends, I'm Merlin with a Y, a certain famous wizard's less talented but more attractive cousin, and I'm here to talk about the emotional gut punch that was episode 7, To a Kinder World. Starting things off with the light stuff, Science Saru put in work on that fight scene. The fight was shorter than I hoped, but it was still an incredible piece of animation. The chase through the abandoned storage building was great. Seeing Okarun try to escape the Acrobatic Silky while navigating the maze-like layout of the containers was gripping. The way the Acrobatic Silky could easily navigate and catch up with Okarun really made her appear like the demon Aira thought Momo was. And seeing how Momo's plan has worked once again, we can now officially say that Momo is the brains of this duo. This is the second time a granny perm has been a plot point in this series, yet this is far more plot relevant than the first time. Tricking the Acrobatic Silky into getting caught using her hair was amazing. I feel like Okarun couldn't really think of something like that, cause even if he had the perm before, he has no idea just how unmanageable it can be. Momo's Gyaru experience came in clutch. In a way, their powers fit how they think. Okarun is pretty direct in his own way, and most of his ideas are pretty straightforward. Momo, meanwhile, is always reaching out and grasping for new plans and ideas. Too bad she was too late. Aira's dead and there's not much they can do. The scene where Momo and Okarun were giving CPR to Aira was exactly how it should be. The music, the colors, the voice acting, they all portrayed this scene for what it is. Two people desperately trying to resuscitate someone who's beyond saving. It was made all the more clear how useless it was, with Turbo Granny just sitting off to the side completely bored. The wise old woman knows it's useless, but the naive and idealistic kids continue anyway. Just because you've got power doesn't mean you can do everything, or save everyone. At least, not without a cost. And thank God they didn't do that annoying cliche where they act embarrassed when giving mouth to mouth, like it's a kiss. That always annoyed me, cause in the life and death situation, that shit doesn't matter. Plus, from what I remember, throwing up during mouth to mouth resuscitation is very common. What a romantic moment. But now, it's time to get into the flashback. After the Acrobatic Silky rips apart her own mouth to prove to Momo that she wants to save Aira, Momo connects their auras together, allowing both her and Aira to glimpse Acrobatic Silky's memories. And damn. The flashback was flawless. If there's one thing Dandadan excels at, it's getting you to feel something through its visuals. They don't need to tell you what's happening. You can clearly see it for yourself. The amount of dread I felt watching these happy moments, knowing damn well what was going to happen, cannot be described. It was heartbreaking in the manga, but it was soul-destroying in the anime. I can't imagine what it must have been like for the anime-only watchers to see this scene for the first time. The Acrobatic Silky's backstory is tear-jerking. The story of a single mother who had to turn to prostitution to support her daughter, working multiple jobs and saving money. Even though she hates what she has to do to support them, just seeing her daughter smile makes it all worth it. Those brief moments of the two of them dancing mean the world to her. Then one day she buys her daughter a beautiful dress she saw in the window, only for her to wear it as the loan sharks take her away, beating her down and taking the little girl away, kicking and screaming. Unable to catch them as they drive away, she falls into despair, knowing she would never see her daughter again. And at the height of her despair, almost seeming to be between the borders of life and death, does one more ballet routine. The same kind of routine she used to do with her daughter, with the finale of her despair dance being a final swan dive into the void, only to hear a final thud. You don't see it, but you know what happened. It's beautiful, heartbreaking, and all too real. Beyond the animation that almost feels rotoscoped at times, you can clearly see every emotion on the characters' faces. This is peak visual storytelling, and it breaks my heart. From a visual perspective, this is a masterpiece of art. It sucks you into a sad story of a woman who lived in a cruel world. The Acrobatic Silky's backstory is so different from the type of backstories you'd normally see in a shonen. While the sad backstories of shows like One Piece certainly hit, it's these down-to-earth yet heartbreaking stories that truly hurt. After all, while the story is fiction, and most hopefully never have to experience this specific type of horror, the kind of visceral tragedy that can be drawn from the unfairness of life and cruelty of others can be understood. And that makes it all the more beautiful, yet sad. So very, very sad. This woman did everything she could, yet in the end she lost everything, becoming a ghost who couldn't remember what had been taken from her. When a young Aira calls her mommy after the death of her own mother, the woman latched on to the only one who she hoped could fill that void, becoming a monster that hurt the very person she was trying to protect. A monster who took her life and only at the last moment regained enough of her mind to give it back. And as the Acrobatic Silky's body turned to dust, she finally finds the mental clarity to remember her real daughter. Her final words of apology to her daughter and her regrets paired with the moments of happiness they had together drive the feelings even deeper. One more gut punch for the road. I'm not ashamed to say I teared up myself. This hit me harder than it should have. And I want to blame Science Saru, but at the same time I want to thank them for making me feel this way. Sometimes we need the lows like this to appreciate how sweet things can be. With Aira finally giving the Acrobatic Silky peace, I can't help but also wish that she's reborn in a kinder world. If this arc doesn't show you that Dandadan is a different kind of shonen than anything you've seen before, then I don't know what to tell you. From the opening scene of the Acrobatic Silky running after her stolen child that sets the tone perfectly that this is going to be a gut punch of an episode, the blurry shaky cam, the voice acting and sound design that really sells the panic she's feeling, to the expertly choreographed fight scene that perfectly used the environment and characters to the fullest, and finally, the pure masterpiece that was the Acrobatic Silky's backstory. This episode was perfect in every sense of the word. The closest thing to a criticism I have is that going from such a sad and emotionally charged scene to the ED of Turbo Granny playing with a hairdryer definitely gives a bit of an emotional whiplash, but that's barely anything in the grand scheme of things. This was so beautiful that I don't know if I have the words to accurately describe it. I hope I did a good enough job. But that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching till the end. Please like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe. I'm Merlin with OI, and I'm gonna go call my mom.